Welcome back to day two of our five-part mission dismantling the 3.5 hour character assassination attempt dropped by Patrick of The Bible in Context. Yesterday, we called out the stolen valor claim of the former Catholic badge to misrepresent the church. And today, we're moving into the field to look at the Niza context, the interview that started this whole firestorm. Patrick claims his intentions was to protect Niza from the Catholic errors. But when you watch the tape, you don't see a shepherd guiding a soul. You see a technician trying to strip a detransitioning man of the only stable authority that he's found. Patrick's approach is clinical and distant, but the gospel is sacramental and personal. Today, we're going to look at the receipts of that interview and show why the Catholic Church isn't a trap for the broken. It's the hospital that they've been looking for.
All of you who are listening, we're going to be going through a popular Catholic influencer online's video that they did on me just a short while ago. And it has to do with a conversation I had with Niza. He is somebody who recently converted to Christianity, and he was transgender, and he saw the light and heard the gospel and became saved. And he started a series of different videos he did on Instagram. So some of you might be familiar with Niza Power, some of you might not. But he shares his journey through Christianity. And a lot of people on my Instagram page, The Bible in Context, where we have tens of thousands of people DMing and messaging back and forth often, sent me a lot of his videos and say, hey, can you talk to him? Can you talk to him? Because he was starting to lean towards Catholicism very heavily. And they wanted me to have a conversation with him because I have a reputation on the apologetics front of confronting the errors of Roman Catholicism.
Patrick says he wanted to give Niza context he wouldn't get from Catholics, but here's the theological reality. Patrick's context is actually a vacuum. For a man like Niza, who has lived through the chaos of gender ideology, he doesn't need more private interpretation. He needs objective apostolic truth. Secular scholars of the religious sociology, like Christian Smith, have pointed out that mass individualism in modern religion leads to a pick-and-choose faith that can't sustain a person in crisis. The Catholic Church, however, offers what the Catechism calls sacramental economy. In paragraph 1076, the communication of the fruits of Christ's paschal mystery through the liturgy. Patrick tries to frame the church as a system of arbitrary rules, but the Council of Trent was clear: the sacraments are not human inventions. They are the visible forms of invisible grace instituted by Christ himself. When you take a man like Niza and tell him he doesn't need the Eucharist or the church authority, you aren't freeing him, you're leaving him back in the same self-authored reality that detransitioners are trying to escape.
What has stood out to me immediately from this is right from the get-go, there's such a strong emotional response. It's not even, she's not even trying to hide that. It's like she's saying, I can't hold back anymore. This has caused such a strong reaction in me that I normally wouldn't do something like this, but I'm going to because I have such a strong reaction.
Patrick's guest, Kimberly, claims from a psychological standpoint that Anna Munley's response was just an emotional outburst, but let's look at Patrick's emotions. He admitted he created a reel specifically to get Niza's attention because his DMs were being ignored. Think about that. If your goal is the context of the Bible, why are you using social media pressure tactics to corner a guy who is in the middle of a massive life transition? It's not apologetics, that's clout chasing. The Bible in context on this is clear. 1 Peter 3:15 says to give a reason for your hope with gentleness and reverence. There is nothing gentle about a 3.5 hour panel designed to mock a woman for defending a soul that you tried to exploit for content, Patrick. St. Gregory the Great, a doctor of the church and a man who knew a thing or two about pastoral care, said the proof of love is in the performance of deeds. Patrick's deed was to record a 90-minute live where he talked to a detransitioner. The church's deed in 2,000-year-old mission of providing the sacraments that actually heal the soul. St. Ambrose of Milan wrote, in the church, the river of water flows. It is the water of grace. When Patrick tries to steer Niza away from the rituals of Catholicism, he's steering him away from the very living water that the church fathers unanimously identified as the lifeblood of the Christian. Patrick claims we misinterpret the facts, but Patrick is the one misinterpreting 1,500 years of Christian history before the Reformation even existed. He wants to give you the Bible in context, but he refuses to acknowledge the church in history that gave him the Bible. The gospel isn't a set of intellectual context clues that you solve like a puzzle, Patrick. The gospel is a person, Jesus Christ, and Jesus didn't leave us words. He left us a covenant.
One of the things that we're fortunate to have Kimberly come in on and chime in on and kind of speak behind the scenes a little bit of what's going on psychologically. Why do people like Anna have to respond with such emotions, such as slander, ad hominem, and different things that are going on behind the scenes with that? So,
Patrick, you say you care about souls, but if you cared about Niza's soul, you would recognize that a man coming out of the confusion of detransitioning needs the pillar and foundation of the truth that 1 Timothy 3:15 describes, not a Bible in context show that changes its interpretation based on who is on the panel that day. We don't pray for Catholics against our will, as you put it. We pray for you, Patrick, that you would stop using the former Catholic badge to tear down the house that built you. The gospel is for the broken, and the church is the only place where that brokenness is met with the actual physical presence of Christ in the Eucharist. If you are like Nisa, searching for something solid after the world has let you down, don't be discouraged by a 3.5 hour video trying to diagnose your faith. Truth doesn't need a psychotherapist's approval, it needs a witness. Tomorrow, we're going to tackle the biggest receipt of all, the Eucharist. Patrick calls skipping Mass an arbitrary rule. We're going to show you why, in the military and in the church, desertion is a matter of life or death. Stay tuned for day 3 tomorrow. Thank you for watching, and God bless.